Once upon a time, here at Joblo, we launched a series aimed at digging into what happened to celebrities. What the fuck happened to celebrities, to be exact. And as you know, this show can pretty much cover anyone, but we usually like to go after people who were once A-listers, only to see their star power diminish over the years. Our goal was to shine a light on the life and career of the people that make us say, hey, I haven't seen them in a while. I wonder what the F happened to them. So yeah, our very first episode was 3 years ago. And in the land of Hollywood land, a lot can happen in 3 years. 1 second you are the subject of the pilot episode of What the F Happened to This Celebrity, and the next you are an Academy Award-winning actor. But to truly understand what the happened, we must begin at the beginning, and the beginning began when this show was born in 2019, when we posted our very first episode. And of course, we had to start out with a bang, focusing on a celebrity that seemed to be universally loved, but had fallen out of the limelight in recent years. And there was no one more perfect than Brendan Fraser.
Oh, I've seen this one, it's good.
But when launching into the research for Fraser, I wasn't exactly expecting the darkness and the struggles in his personal life. So by the end of the video, I wanted nothing more than for Fraser to have a comeback because he frickin' deserved it so much. So let's ask that age-old question yet again. What the f*** happened to Brendan Fraser? You know, since the last time we did What the F*** Happened to Brendan Fraser. This is What the F*** Happened to Brendan Fraser Part 2. The sequel. The What the F*** Returns. Tomb of the Dragon What the F***er. When we last left off, Brendan Fraser was just bouncing back from a life out of the spotlight. He was featured in some critically acclaimed TV shows like The Affair, Condor, Trust, and Doom Patrol, being the best reviewed of the bunch, as it ran for 4 seasons on HBO Max. But it would seem that Brendan Fraser's career comeback was relegated to the small screen, in projects that showcased his immersed talent, but never truly entered the cultural zeitgeist. On the big screen, Brendan Fraser's name was being mentioned a lot. Not for a movie that he was in, but for a movie that had absolutely nothing to do with him. In 2017, Universal decided they wanted to create a shared cinematic universe based on the classic Universal monster films. Sounds amazing in theory, right? The first film in this proposed dark universe was a new version of The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise, not Brendan Fraser. And yeah, in theory, on paper, this should have been a surefire hit. But when people saw the film, they all agreed that this mummy should have stayed in its tomb. And yeah, everybody quickly realized that the Mummy movies only worked because Brendan Fraser. The mega failure of this Mummy made everybody miss Brendan so much. They missed his presence on the screen. And we all realized that maybe, perhaps, we kinda took this guy for granted. It would seem like the success of Doom Patrol and the failure of a Brendan-less Mummy film helped filmmakers and studios see the potential in casting Brendan in more than just direct-to-video schlock, like The Poison Rose in 2019. One of those directors who saw potential in him was none other than Academy Award-winning director Steven Soderbergh, who would cast Brendan in his HBO Max film No Sudden Move in 2021. This film would receive overwhelmingly positive reviews, with many singling out Brendan's performance. And yeah, these good reviews, this praise, it would be one more notch, one more step towards the inevitable return of Brendan Fraser.
You fucking heard me. This whole fucking thing is offensive. Let's go.
He just needed to be in like a super big superhero movie, right? Like Batgirl. By October 2021, Brendan Fraser would be cast as the big bad guy for Warner Brothers' proposed direct-to-streaming film Batgirl that would eventually be converted into a full-blown $70 million budgeted big-screen tentpole film that was guaranteed to be a blockbuster, right? This Batgirl movie was something to be excited about. Not only would it be the return of Michael Keaton in his iconic Batman role before The Flash, but this would also bring Brendan Fraser back to the big screen in a super blockbuster action film. But then came August 2022, when the movie world was shocked when Warner Brothers announced that they had flat out canceled the release of this Batgirl film, which was nearly unheard of for basically a fully completed movie, especially one with a built-in audience already. But why was it canceled? Nobody really knows. Was it just a tax write-off? Maybe. Were test reviews so bad that they were like, hey, we just need to kill this thing and put it out of its misery? Was it too woke? Was it not woke enough? What the f*** is woke even mean now? But yeah, who knows? Batgirl was completely shut down, and so was the possible major comeback of Brendan Fraser. But he did not give up. Brendan Fraser would actually talk about the shock he felt when this film was canceled. He did it on the Howard Stern show, which is where you go to talk about things that people want to listen to. But yeah, so basically it would seem like this big screen Brendan-assance would have to wait.
I relished this part. It was great fun. I really
And you
enjoyed
shot the whole movie and they never put out Batgirl.
Correct.
Do you think it'll ever be seen? Have you seen the actual? Have you seen the film?
No, I've not.
You have not.
Let's quickly go back to the year 2012, when poor Brendan Fraser seemed to be caught in a never-ending string of duds. But little did he know that somewhere across the country, on a small theater stage, something was happening that would ultimately change his life. A new play called The Whale was taking off on off-Broadway stages. And of the many people who went to see this award-winning play was Requiem for a Dream filmmaker Darren Aronofsky, who desperately wanted to bring this big story to the big screen. But unfortunately, due to never being able to figure out who could play the main role, saw those dreams remain on the back burner as he went on to make such films as Noah and Mother instead. But the longing to bring this intimate story to the big screen never left this filmmaker, Mr. Darren. And over the years, he tried to imagine what actor could convincingly play the 600-pound lead character, who has to do like a lot of emotional stuff like cry all the time, which is hard, I guess. Aronofsky then saw the trailer for a 2006 Brazilian film called Journey to the End of the Night, which featured Brendan Fraser and had nothing to do with Journey to the Center of the Earth. In this movie, Brendan plays a far different type of role than we've ever seen before. He's a brothel-owning, compulsive gambler who's addicted to cocaine. Oh my, he's so bad. Darren Aronofsky says that he hadn't seen many of Brendan Fraser's films, with the exception of The Mummy, of course. But watching that trailer on YouTube reminded him of the movie star talent that Brendan Fraser possessed. And in that moment, he knew that he had found his leading man. And maybe he also watched What the F Happened to Brendan Fraser Part 1, maybe, and was inspired by me. But yeah, who cares which YouTube video inspired Darren Aronofsky to cast Brendan Fraser in The Whale? Because thank God he did, because there was a rumor that at one point James Corden was going to star. Filming for The Whale began on March 8th, 2021, and ran for a month in New York. During that time, Brendan Fraser had been fitted with his prosthetic suit that would eat up 4 hours every day to put on and weighed nearly 300 pounds. Brendan Fraser would do extensive research for the role, making sure that everything was authentic, even consulting with the Obesity Action Coalition and dance instructors to fully understand how a man of that physical condition would move. It was fat, yo. PH. Fat is what I mean. The film The Whale would premiere at the 79th Annual Venice International Film Festival in September of 2022. And the video that came the next day was the start of Brendan Fraser's climb to the top of the mountain of the movie industry. In this video, the always lovable Brendan Fraser stands up as the audience gives the film, and mostly him, a 6-minute standing ovation. 6 minutes, y'all. This was the dramatic performance that everyone knew Brendan Fraser had in him, ever since we first saw him in School Ties back in 1992, and in Gods and Monsters in 1998. He's not a stranger to drama, y'all. And what's so amazing about this Whale comeback is that this wasn't the resurrection of somebody who fell out of the public eye for bad behavior or naughty backstage shenanigans. This was the resurrection of a performer who had never had a single bad word uttered about him. Just like a nice guy. And he gave the frickin' performance of a lifetime. The audience of the Venice Film Festival let him know how happy they were to have him back in the limelight.
I need to know that I have done one thing right with my life.
The Whale would open December 2022 and would have the best limited opening of a movie in 2022, where it sold out all 6 screens that it was playing at, and it would go on to make a very healthy $53.4 million based off of just a $3 million budget. From there came award season, and it was one of the most memorable award seasons of recent memory. Brendan would rack up over 61 nominations in various award show things, resulting in 26 wins. But one of those award show things that did not have Brendan Fraser was the Golden Globes. That's right, unfortunately, one of the nasty, horrible reasons that Brendan Fraser stepped away from acting is because he was allegedly, we have to say allegedly, inappropriately touched by, the guy who ran the Golden Globes. Brendan Fraser was #MeToo'd. He was the victim. And unfortunately, because this Golden Globe guy had so much power, Brendan Fraser was blacklisted. So now he was having this award season comeback, and the Golden Globes were there, and they're like, "Are you gonna attend?" And Brendan Fraser was like, "No, fuck you." And Brendan Fraser boycotted those motherfucking Golden Globes. And because of this, Colin Farrell won, and good for him. But yeah, you know.
You're the best thing I have ever done.
But then came the Academy Awards, and Brendan Fraser would win Best Actor. That's right, Brendan Fraser is now an Oscar winner. It feels so nice to say that. Let's say it again. Brendan Fraser is now an Oscar winner. Every time you talk about Brendan Fraser, you can say Academy Award winner Brendan Fraser, and you would be correct. Correctamundo. And just to top it all off, a nice little Oscar cherry, his short round buddy from Encino Man, Ke Huy Quan, would be there right next to him winning Best Supporting Actor for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And you know what? Brendan Fraser should win an Oscar for his amazing Oscar speech. He gave an incredibly heartfelt and most sincere acceptance. It made me kind of almost want to watch the Oscars next year. All of us Brendan heads, Fraser faces, all over the world, we were celebrating. We were so happy that Brendan was able to get his hands on that unholy golden idol, which was much deserved.
Thank you again, each one and all. I'm so grateful to you. Good night.
Everybody was reaching out to Brendan, telling him how happy they were that he was back. The world and the movie industry had fallen in love again with Brendan. He's so lovable, so dorky, and cool at the same time. But you can just tell that he's a nice guy, and you know, I guess being nice gets you places in life eventually. And yeah, we actually went back to the previous What the F Happened to Brendan Fraser video, part 1, which was posted so many years ago. We went back and looked through the comments, and yeah, even though those YouTube commenters can be kind of vicious sometimes, there wasn't one single negative comment about Brendan Fraser. All the negative comments were about me, but not any about Brendan. Everybody loved him. It was nothing but that love and love and love. It seemed like everybody had respect for this performer, and that everybody missed him. Missed seeing his big goofy face on the screen. The really good news is that this Brendan-assance, well, it's just beginning, as Brendan Fraser has a prominent role in Martin Scorsese's upcoming film, Killers of the Flower Moon, alongside Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. That's right, let me say that again. Brendan Fraser is going to be in a Martin Scorsese movie alongside Leo and Bobby. He's also got another movie planned called Brothers, which seems like a twins kind of movie, with Peter Dinklage and Josh Brolin.
You're one of those actors, you've been working constantly, and yet this has been described as your Brenaissance, because people like words like that.
But I'm sure we'll go into more details with those flicks in part 3 in a few years. Because Brendan Fraser is showing absolutely no sign of slowing down. He's swinging, and he's not hitting any trees anymore. So that means we will always be asking what the f happened to Brendan Fraser, because he's a happening guy, I guess. With that new Oscar on his shelf, and the world at large rooting for him, it seems like there's nothing Brendan Fraser can't do. And perhaps we may finally get to see Brendan return to the world of The Mummy, or even an Encino Man sequel. I mean, cavemen are still funny, right? Let's get that stuff greenlit. Or even George of the Jungle 2 Jungle. Or even The Whale 2, where we get to follow him in heaven. Spoiler alert, he goes to heaven at the end. So yeah, nobody should give a f*** about what the f*** happened to Brendan Fraser, because Brendan Fraser, he's back, and he's doing just fine. And he didn't even need Batgirl to save him.
Believe me, if I can do it, you can too. Good things will happen.